is the highest antioxidant over all of them. You know, the goji berries and acai and acai, yeah, that's how you pronounce it. And your blueberries and your raspberries. So mangosteen. And they have a product called Tygo as well that is a combination. Predominantly, the largest percentage of that juice is the mangosteen. And then it has a lot of other things in it. And there is curcumin in it as well. And just an ounce a day is all you need of that. And my brother in Washington State, he says it should be illegal because it comes in like a 25-ounce bottle. And he just has no control. It's like, an ounce? Are you kidding me? I'm pouring myself a glass of this stuff. And you know, it's just gone. Yeah, it is just gone in no time, and you really can't afford to drink it that way. You get two bottles, two 25-ounce bottles, and I don't know, it runs around $50. It's about $25, $26 a bottle. But it's amazing stuff. Also, I had someone years ago that had a very serious problem with glaucoma, and I started them on that Tygo as soon as it was available. And 3 months later, this lady that was in her 70s that had glaucoma, 3 months later, when she went back to her eye doctor, the pressure reading in her eyes from the glaucoma test was almost normal. So she went from having a serious condition developing and going on with the glaucoma that in 3 months of on the Tygo, just an ounce a day is all she took. Her glaucoma pressure readings came back at almost normal.
Right on.
Yeah. So, you know, in addition to these foods, it's really important to get plenty of vitamin D into your diet and essential fatty acids. Work on curbing your stress, and that's really an over the top one on trying to manage and take care of in this day and age. But you know, we have an amazing product called NutriCalm, which is a B complex, but it's also in a base of herbs, and we're going to go through some herbs as well you know, that I want you to be aware of that are available. So working on your stress and spend more time in the fresh air. So I guess that means you're going to go to an area where there are a lot of trees. And for Colorado, that would be up in the mountains. We watch those chemtrails all the time with the planes and stuff flying over the Denver metro area, you know, spewing everything that they have in all of that, leaving it in the atmosphere. And we wonder why our weather is so crazy. And the government has already said that, you know, these chemtrails have to do with them trying to learn to manipulate the weather for war. It's like, well, you know, you're creating the war with us because of the illness and all of the toxins that are being put into the atmosphere and these weather pattern changes that don't just affect the states that they're flying over, they're affecting everybody.
Sure. And
you know, like I commented earlier, we were talking about you know, Vegas, you know, going to be 40 degrees and possibility of snow and
2 inches of snow, which may not seem much to us here in Colorado, but to a place that don't see snow.
And they don't have any equipment. You know, they don't have that equipment that we have. And they're really not doing too great of a job clearing these streets for all the equipment that the Denver metro area has. But still, right now, the paths on the streets are pretty much just from the cars.
Right.
And I know last night, as soon as it got dark, It's amazing how quickly that all changes to just, ice skating. The roads are they're just ice. So, adding more calcium into the diet, more more vitamin D. And then make sure those essential fatty acids, whether they be salmon oil, fish oils. My preference for essential fatty acids, the medium chain, is the coconut oil. And you can use it topically, and you can use it internally. And the other thing here is the strong painkillers that are used with all this chronic pain that everybody is taking are highly addictive. And it doesn't do anything with correcting. It doesn't correct the situation. It manages the pain. And fortunately, there are several natural painkillers that can help reduce the pain and the inflammation, especially when you combine them with foods and lifestyle factor changes. One of the things to get moving and get the lymphatic system pumping and moving, because the heart, the bloodstream has the heart. The lymphatic system doesn't have a pump to move the lymph fluid through the body. And, we have, your average person has 12 pints of blood, and you have 45 pints of lymphatic fluid. Lymphatic fluid reaches areas of the body that the bloodstream doesn't. And so in order to get that moving, the herb echinacea pumps and moves the lymphatic system. But those little mini trampolines, even just lightly bouncing on a little mini trampoline, stimulates and triggers and moves that lymph fluid that pumps and moves the toxins through the system and allows that to spill back into the bloodstream. And then the bloodstream takes it and spills it into the bowel. And then you eliminate it through the bowels. So mini trampolines, UCLA has used mini trampolines with their cardiovascular department in the therapy for people with cardiovascular disease.
Interesting.
Yeah, little mini trampoline, and they've been using that since the late 70s.
Oh wow!
So it's there's a lot of documentation on what that little tiny trampoline can do for your health, and especially when you have joints that hurt. People don't expect you to go join a gym and go do laps in the pool. I mean, that's just like, are you kidding me? They can't do that. That's another problem that happens with chronic pain and the medications. And some of those medications, hey, after you take them, you don't want to go get in your car and drive.
Right.
It's not safe. Not for you or for whoever you got to pass, So, energy's not there. And, so, like a far infrared sauna, search those out online. You can buy one of those, a portable one, under $200. They're outstanding. Far infrared penetrates about a quarter of an inch below the skin and really aids circulation. And when you use that with someone who has been very, very sedentary and get into a week of using that, and you only start out with about 15 minutes. And you certainly never sit in one more than an hour, but you've got to really work up to that hour. 15 minutes will have you profusely sweating.
Sure.
When you're sweating, you're getting rid of a lot of toxins, getting rid of a lot of that excess medication that's built up in the system. Sweat it out. Get rid of it through the pores. Get that blood moving and that lymphatic system detoxifying. And so that, and sometimes you can feel a little worse before you feel better, or we have what we call healing crises, that if you've changed your diet and you're implementing, like getting a little rebounder and get a little far infrared portable sauna, and stick with that, stay faithful to that. At the end of a couple of weeks or a month, your comment is going to be, man, I feel fantastic. And about the time that comes out of your mouth, realize that you might end up with about 3 hours or 3 days of where you don't feel good. And then what that is we call that a little healing crisis. And what happens is you have to earn your health. Years ago, we used to say, the only good health that you have, you're born with. Well, that was 30 years ago. Some babies are, as appears, that they're in good health. So even though there's an awful lot of things being diagnosed today that were not being diagnosed 30 years ago, because there is a difference because of the air and the water and the food. So, but anyway, talking about a healing crisis is you earn good health. And so when you're doing good things to help build your system up, you get to a certain point where then the body says, okay, I'm strong enough. I'm going to dump some of this that I've been hanging on to. And when the body goes through the point of getting rid of it and eliminating it, releasing it into the system for the body to do what it's supposed to do, because you freed up the system by not adding all of these things into the diet that clog it up and bog it down, all the sugar and the flour. And a week or two ago we were talking about the white bread, chew it up, stick it to the roof of your mouth, and finish your meal. It won't fall down from the roof of your mouth. So you think about that dead white flour and what it's doing when it gets into your intestinal tract. It's just gum, it's sticky, it's just lining the whole lining of the intestinal tract. And that's going to interfere with absorption of vital nutrients that are needed to be carried off to the cell and to the tissue of the body. So, it's you earn those healing crises, and they will last 3 hours or 3 days. And then once that passes, you're back to feeling really good, and you'll feel really good for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. And then you'll have a little dump cycle again. And maybe your joints will hurt. Maybe run a low-grade fever. The body needs to burn up whatever it's been holding on to. So that's a way of the body naturally detoxifying itself. So you build the system up. It has the nutrients that it needs. It's able to get on task for what it needs to do, because it's now been given an opportunity by the extra nutrients and stuff that you're taking in. And so the body's able to do a little house cleaning is all it is. And like I said, you feel a little under the weather, 3 hours or 3 days. Chronically ill people can get into, say if they've been, battling off and on very serious degenerative disease. Sometimes those healing crises can last up to 3 weeks where they're sick. And that's where, beef broth and juicing is so important to get that nutrition delivered into the cell. And the nice thing about juicing and soups, well, especially juicing, when you break that down and all of that food is fractured up, all those molecules are fractured up, it's so easy. The digestive tract doesn't have to use any of its energy for digestion. It's already broken down. So it just absorbs it, takes it directly on as nutrition. So that's another benefit of juicing. And when you look at the amount of food that you put in that juicer, you really wouldn't sit down and eat that much food at that sitting. It would take you all day